Hi, this is Keenan Casey for TutsPlus.com. In this lesson, we're going to be introducing supervised learning. What is it, and how do we often do it? First, what's the point? What is it that supervised learning really does? This is it visually. Supervised learning takes some inputs, puts them through a model that we've created through a learning process, and the result is some outputs. So supervised learning is about predicting the output based on the input. Typically, these aren't going to be circles, they're going to be numbers. And we're going to write these numbers as vectors. Supervised learning is going to take an input vector, push that through a model which will map to some output. In this case, 1, 8 is the output vector. There are two main types of supervised learning. First, classification. All classification is doing the prediction where the output is discrete. So there's some finite set of values that are correct answers, possible answers. In this case, we've output a yes based on that input sequence. We might also output a no. So this is classification. Classification has been used in lots of ways. For example, spam detection. Is this email spam or not? It's been used to do medical diagnosis based on some set of input symptoms. Is this a disease or not? Classification is also seen in fraud detection algorithms that take as input some account activity and then will predict fraud or not fraudulent. This is classification predicting a discrete output. The other type of supervised learning is regression. And in this case, the model outputs a continuous output based on some input. Using the example of the Computer Geek dataset, we see that we have the browser is Chrome, the person loves Legos, they're a little interested in bacon. We push that through the model, and the output is 8.1. That's the geek score for this set of inputs. Perhaps using Safari and a little interested in bacon, 2 on the Lego love scale. Their output is just 2.7. So this is regression, just predicting a continuous output. Let's look at classification versus regression in a different way. On the left, you see classification, where you've got geeks and non-geeks. Geeks are in blue, plotted at 1 on the y-axis. Non-geeks are plotted at -1, and you can see the x-axis here is the GPA. So this is classification. It's the person's either a geek or non-geek. Only 2 classes. In contrast, regression, in this case the geek score, represents, based on some input, what is the real valued output. In this case, you see we've drawn a line that represents the equation that maps the GPA to geek score. This is regression. In this course, we'll be looking at the following supervised learning algorithms. The terms in black mean that they're better suited as classification or regression. So for example, support vector machines are in black here. They can do classification. They do classification well. They can also do regression, but they're not as well suited to that. So that's why I've written them in gray. So these are the algorithms that we'll be looking at in this course. To summarize, we've seen the 2 types of supervised learning in this lesson. First, we've seen classification, which means the output is discrete, something like yes or no, geek, non-geek. We've also seen regression, which means that the output is continuous. These could be any real valued outputs. This has been an introduction to supervised learning. We looked at classification and regression. Next time, we'll start digging into some of the supervised learning algorithms. I'm Keenan Casey for Tuts Plus. Thanks for watching.